Hey everybody, and welcome back. So it's that time of year where Pierre Poilievre's leadership is under review in 4 days. I, I still can't believe that everybody's really talking about should he be the leader? Should he continue to lead the PC government or the PC federal party to the next election? He had his chance. He blew it. He lost it. The polls show him very unfavorable. He didn't learn a lesson after the last election. He doubled down on his rhetoric, and his popularity has continued to tumble. Mark Carney is loved, liked, earning the trust of those ones that were skeptical of him leading the Canada. He's producing. It took him time, but he's been producing. And Canada is seeing that they made the right choice. So Pierre Poilievre, for the Conservative Party, for their future in the next election, he should step down. He shouldn't even be getting to this point where they have to review if he should continue or not. We're going to go over all the polls, and we're going to show that not only me, but everybody else doesn't think he should be leader of the PC party or the country of Canada. But I'm not a registered conservative. I can't vote. So it's going to be up to the caucus, the convention, to make that decision. And if they decide to keep him, it's going to be bad for the party. Now, he has the support of those hardcore conservatives. He will always have the support of those hardcore conservatives, but those voters are not the ones that win you an election. It's like beating a dead horse. Independents are the ones that decide the outcome of an election, and you're going to see on all these polls I'm going to show you, he doesn't have them. So let's take a look. Okay, first one we're going to look at Angus Reid Institute, well known. Views of conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. Okay, as of December 25th, he's got an unfavorable of 60%, with a favorable of 34%. It's not good. Now, he would boast this last election that he reached a lot of younger voters. Even after the election, you're going to see in this graph that he had an uptick in young Canadians who was listening to his message. They felt that he was looking out for them and everything else. But even that is waning. He's losing them. So let's take a look here. For example, male support. He had, back in June, the height was 46%. Now went down to 44, and he's at 40% as of December 25th. 35, the age group of 35 to 54, 42. 38, now we're at 36. 55 plus, very low. Mark Carney took a lot of him, but it was 39%, now at 36. Female, 31, 30, now we're at 28. The young generation, after the election in June, was at 32%. Then 31, now we're at 29. That was a demographic that everybody says he's got them, that they're listening, that no one is paying attention to the young generation because of affordability, houses, jobs, and everything else. Then why is he losing their supports? Seems like Mark Carney's listening to them. He's always been listening. In my opinion, he's always been listening. It's just, it takes time. So now Carney is technically delivering. Pierre Poilievre was nothing but rhetoric. Mark Carney is doing good. He spent the year traveling, where I don't understand why, but I remember even Pierre Poilievre was complaining on the amount of traveling that Mark Carney was doing and wasn't spending enough time trying to make a deal with Donald Trump. Because we all knew you can't make a deal with Donald Trump. He's a 5-year-old, unstable man baby. He has no vision on what deal he wants. First it was fentanyl, then it was border security, then it was taking the jobs that we took and that the Americans subsidized us, so they wanted the jobs back. Now it's China. Now he wants to make Canada again the 51st state. There's no vision, there's no direction. So how do you make a deal with somebody like that? Mark Carney knew that. That's why he started trying to make deals with other partners, other trading partners. Asia Pacific, Southeast Asia, Europe, Middle East, and of course, recently China. That's why he didn't spend very much time dealing with the U.S. He let his delegates on, putting them on the back burner, letting them deal with it. If they can come up with a deal, great, beautiful. But he knew it was a lost cause. That's why he spent time traveling. And it has paid off. The Davos speech, WEF, World Economic Forum. You're hearing great things. The response with the world leaders, trading partners, even Canadians here at home. It was a relief to hear somebody who can put two sentences together, a cohesive sentence and thoughts, a direction, understanding where we as Canadians stand and where we need to be and what direction we have to go. A lot of pride there in that speech, and a lot of Canadians saw that. That's why he's doing very well. Now, here in this website, he's got an approval rating of 55%, and this approval of 37. Okay. Now there's fluctuations. Like for example, as you're going to see here, Sparks Insights approval rating back in December, it was 62%. On their website right now, it's 64. So depending on where you go, like for example, Angus Reid has 45 back in December. Yours 57 as of January 19th. Anywhere, let's go 57 to 64 approval rating for Mark Carney. Those are good numbers. And he's just getting started. Other things you should be looking at, okay? So Atlantic Canada has the highest approval rating of 67%. British Columbia is 61. I've seen other ones at 63. Prairie Provinces, Manitoba and Saskatchewan, 48%. I'm surprised, especially Manitoba, but it is what it is. Real indicator, real surprise for me was Alberta, 59%. Like, what the heck? I thought Alberta hated Ottawa. And they're going to explain why it's at 59%. So here we go. Mark Carney's approval rating in Alberta. Despite Alberta's long-standing skepticism toward the federal government's current data shows that Mark Carney's government holds an approval rating of 59% in the province. This level of support is notable given Alberta's political history and points to a shift in voter priorities during a period of economic strain and geopolitical uncertainty. Albertans see what's going on in the world and they figure, I think we need to see what this guy's doing, and he's been providing, making deals. Rather than reacting to partisan messaging and short-term political drama, many Albertans appear to be evaluating Carney's leadership on a perceived seriousness, values, and effort, suggesting their support is rooted in a rational assessment of how the federal government is approaching complex issues such as economic stability and Canada's relationship with the United States. So you hear all the time that, especially now, Trump is supporting the Alberta separatism. Just because Alberta wants to separate doesn't mean they want to become an American. You'll find some of them that want to because they think it's God's gift to the world, and you know the grass is greener always on the other side of the fence. But a lot of Albertans don't. They can see with their own eyes and hear with their own ears that the United States is a third world country right now, and they don't want that problem. They don't want to go from one master to another. And they can see what Mark Carney's doing, that he's a rational person. He's a leader. He sees the problems. He's coming up with solutions. And that's why he has a 59% approval rating. If you can get that in Alberta, you're doing a good job. Do you think Pierre Poilievre can get that anywhere else outside of Western Canada, let alone BC, out on the East Coast and everything else? Here they go to state. Mark Carney versus Pierre Poilievre polls. Prime Minister Mark Carney continues to enjoy a strong public position, posting a 62% approval rating against 38% disapproval in a December 2025 survey, signaling a broad national acceptance. Now, like I said, there was one site, Spark, that have him at a 64% approval rating today. His advantage is largely driven by perceptions of economic competence, crisis management, credibility, and a calm governing style rooted in his background as a central banker. I know, evil word, central banker. However, risk analysis, calm, concise, direction, plan, that's what a banker is, okay? By contrast, conservative leader Pierre Poilievre records much weaker public sentiment, with only 34% favorable views and 60% unfavorable. His confrontational tone, sharp populist rhetoric, woke, defund the CBC, all that stuff, yeah, because that helped Canada be strong. I don't know why anybody would care about that stuff. And heavy focus on cultural war issues have consolidated the conservative base but alienated centrist and urban voters. He spent too much time placating, I've said this over and over again, placating to his hardcore Maple MAGA base. He wasn't listening to the rest of the country. Beating a dead horse here, you don't win votes. You don't win elections with your base. You do it with independence. And he's alienated all of them. The loss of the last election didn't teach him anything, doubled down. And only recently is he saying now he wants to work with the Liberals to make Canada strong, because Mark Carney is being successful. He's getting things done without the Conservatives. And now they want to ride his coattails on that, because Pierre Poilievre knows he's out, or he's on the verge of being out. So let's see what happens. Again, like I stated, personally, I think for the PC party, they need to let Poilievre go. It's he hasn't learned anything. He isn't bringing anything to the table, and his rhetoric, it is changing, but only because Mark Carney is being successful right now, not because he knows his rhetoric doesn't do anything. It doesn't solve any problems. I hear everybody saying, Pierre Poilievre has ideas. You stating that we need to make houses cheaper is not an idea. We need a plan. How are you going to bring costs down of food? We need a plan. And every time I ask somebody, well, what's the details of his plan? It's, well, stuff and tax breaks and making things cheaper. But how? How are they going to make things cheaper, especially on houses, when it's the policies of the province, municipalities, and regions? Federal government has No say in unless they build homes themselves on federal land or give um, money to municipalities to help them build affordable housing. That's the extent of his what he can do, which the federal government has been doing even during the Trudeau days. So they need to let him go. I think I have a feeling they will keep him, not because he's good for the party, but because they don't have anybody else, and that would probably do more damage. Actually, I don't even know. I'll be honest with you. I think Pierre does more damage to the party than not having a leader or even just an interim leader. Because the interim leader at the time when Pierre was doing the by-election in Battle River Crowfoot was Andrew Scheer. That guy's so awkward and cringe. He's technically worse than Pierre Poilievre. So who are they gonna get as an interim leader? There's nobody. The party is kind of in shambles right now. They have no direction, no idea, no stances to a certain degree that resonates with the voters that Carney's not already doing. So that's the only saving grace for Pierre Poilievre. And that's the only reason, if they keep him, is for those reasons, not because he's good for the party. So I'm not going to be surprised if he stays, and I won't be surprised if they kick him out. I would assume and I would hope they kick him out because it's short-term pain for long-term gain. You're just kicking the can down the road if you don't get rid of him now. It'll be easier to make people forget about Pierre Poilievre if you just let him leave now. Anyways, we'll see on the 30th on Friday. It'll be interesting. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Take care. We'll talk later.